points from the lesson. Live in the hills, but I still get a spread. Started with a live, but I still reinvest it. Fear how I feel, then you feel it's a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but they sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down, hold it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got your watch list coming in October 26, 2021, and the stock market is gonna melt up. If the rest of the earnings this week mimic what we got with Facebook, we are looking for an interesting end of the month. Facebook had their earnings. We had a lot of worry and expectations coming into it, but despite what they reported, it wasn't enough to really knock the market up. Even after hours, we are going up, but there was a lot of different stuff today. Tesla even hit the $1 trillion market value club, a very big milestone, and honestly, a crazy move. Even if you FOMO'd into Tesla, you would still be up right now. The options had one of the most wildest moves ever, but we also saw a lot of activity in a lot of different names and industries, and it's setting us up for an interesting end of the week, but we still got a lot of the big earnings on the way, so we got a lot to talk about. I'm going to go over everything that happened in the market today, what we're looking at tomorrow. Again, you're getting Apple, Microsoft, and a few others, or excuse me, not Applesoft, just Microsoft and AMD, and then we are going to be getting a lot of economic data, and then I got the plays, the ones that we made today. I got a cool strategy, and then finally the plays for tomorrow. So let us not delay. You guys know what you need to do. Drop your thumbs up on the video. Make sure you're subscribed, and if you don't know, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes for open. It's the first link in the description, and it's pinned in the comments. We better see you there in the morning. It's free 99. It costs you nothing to join. YouTube.com/TheStockMarket. You can post the plays, see the plays, watch us come to life, and yes, if you can give credit to El Salvador successfully buying the dip, then yeah, we're the place to be. And the most important thing you need to do, post or watch below. Let us know what you're looking at. Got any plays, comments, remixes, anything, post them below and source that info. Shout out to Chad, baby. So, right off that bat, like I said, Facebook wasn't as bad as expected. They did miss on revenue, but they beat on other metrics as well as their profit, and then they announced a $50 billion buyback, so that is going to help a lot of things tomorrow, but overall, there was just an upbeat attitude about the market today. You had oil hit a high of $85, the highest since like 2014. It did come down, but oil had a lot of activity, and then we also saw materials. This one kind of crept in throughout the day. There was positive news on the political front, and it's related to the infrastructure stuff. We'll talk about it when we get to the news and even the plays, but there was a lot of good news and good things today, and really, the new highs kept going. You had oil at highs, even crypto was hitting highs. Tesla hit that $1 trillion. They're at a new high. The S&P, materials, everything, the push is overall continuing. So even coming into the first pretty picture here, despite all of these highs in the market, some of those fears about inflation, they are still existing. Again, even rate hike expectations have increased even throughout the days. Even looking at where we are at right now here today, this is just one more thing hitting highs, but you even have the 10-year break even as well as the 5-year break even. They're setting new highs up here. So people are still worried about inflation and inflation expectations, and that's why what you're getting this week is so important to be watching, because they're just going to be looking at the earnings to kind of give a window of, all right, well, we're going to be good until this point. So I'm going to skip a little bit here to the end, but essentially, if the earnings that you see for the rest of the week, especially, again, Apple, Microsoft, AMD, Visa, all sorts of companies, but especially the mega cap ones, if they do not create confusion and they're kind of like Facebook where they could support it with big buybacks, which I wouldn't be surprised of, but ultimately they're beating on most metrics and it's not a complete whiff like Snapchat was, and it doesn't create confusion, then it will be good enough to guide us here into the end of the year. Again, you are going to have Powell next week, but as long as that's not too confusing and the earnings are saying, okay, yes, there's inflation, but corporate profits are still increasing, that's really what Wall Street is falling back on, then things will be pretty good and we might start to enter melt up mode. So that is going to be the key to watch. You are going to be getting more economic data and some of the central bank stuff from like the ECB and all of that. But tomorrow morning, you're going to hear from UPS, GE, and 3M. There's going to be a couple of more companies, but those are going to be some of the main ones. Again, same thing here after hours. There is a lot of other companies, but these are going to be keys to watch and to see how they feed into any other other plays, but you're hearing from Microsoft, Google, AMD, Visa, and Twitter. So coming into the company news and events, the first one here, Janet Yellen and Democrats have proposed a wealth tax on unrealized capital gains.
Unrealized capital gains. Realized capital gains.
This was the talk of the town today, but it does show a little bit of the changes here again with the politics, but we are getting closer to December, so all of these negotiations are key. This one got a lot of headlines. We'll see how it's been. Again, they've been kind of throwing ideas here, seeing what sticks, but I'm sure we're going to hear some developments on that. But the real thing on politics that happened today, again, Manchin, he's been the one who's kind of been in the way there of the Democrats, but he has signaled today that a deal could be reached by the end of the week. So Biden met with him. They've been negotiating. It's looking kind of positive for that situation, and this is really what sparks some of this materials and infrastructure stock rally today. So this is definitely going to be something we're going to be watching for the rest of the week. And then Amazon, there was a couple of plays that moved around it, but this was interesting. They announced that they're planning to build a commercial space station, so more people go into space, more stuff like that. Amazon didn't really react, but the companies that they partner with did. And then speaking of space here, stock is there, and so is Elon, but Tesla has reached the $1 trillion market cap like we said. They got a price target increase today from Morgan Stanley, as well as got upgraded. And then on top of that, there was a deal announced with Hertz, the rental car company, and they've agreed to buy 100,000 Teslas. It's like $4 billion or something like that. It is absolutely a crazy amount. So there was a lot of things that fueled Tesla going past 15% today. They were breaking past 1,000. 1,000 is a psychological level. Then 1,000 is also the $1 trillion market cap. And then they had the upgrade. So there was a lot of different drivers today that let that thing run. So that was very awesome to see. We are definitely going to hear about that in the future. So that was interesting. And then coming here to crypto, this one is going to be key to watch here because we are going to hear about it this week. But the SEC, they've gotten their path to rein in on stablecoins as the U.S. is weighing these rules on it. But they are coming out with a report later this week, and they're pretty much going to specify the authority that they have. They're saying that they have significant authority over tokens like Tether or any of the other stablecoins. So there's been a lot of back and forth. Even Robinhood is going to have earnings, and you've been watching Coinbase move a lot. We're going to see what happens just in general too. Crypto markets, they have been doing good, but we'll see how any of this plays out. For the most part, regulation hasn't been stopping the run up here in the crypto market. So there was that, and then we saw this middle of the day, we saw the pop on there, but Disney has announced another price increase. This time it's not for Disney Plus or the streaming like a lot of people think, but for the theme parks and entering. So they raised the prices on Disneyland and Disney World. They also increased parking, I believe, about 20%, and then they're also announcing an increase to prices on certain holiday days. They're increasing those as well. So more signs of inflation. Again, even the first pretty picture there, I don't know if I specified, this is showing the treasuries and the moves and everything related here with inflation and people's expectations. Again, we talked about it there with the break-evens, but all of these little headlines and the earnings we're going to get, anything related to this, again, price increases, that will be key to watch. And then even on the labor front, McDonald's, they saw a little drop, and they were selling off a lot before this, but there was an announcement that the workers will be scheduling a walkout this week. I believe it's over like wages as well as like sexual harassment and something else. So a couple of things there. Broke news earlier this morning. Didn't hear much about it later in the day, but we will see how that plays out. Again, they were kind of struggling before that, and then finally this one led to a huge move on a stock today. But MasterCard has announced a deal with Bakkt. This is that new crypto IPO, but now MasterCard through Bakkt is going to be able to offer crypto credit cards and debit cards, and then even like crypto rewards. So that stock's even going crazy after hours. It is definitely going to be one to watch, but earnings is still going to take priority. And like we said, depending on what happens here, it could either get us into some volatility or we might enter melt up mode. So I hope you're ready, but that is pretty much it. So let us get into the plays. So right off the bat, I got 3 different stocks that I'm looking at coming into tomorrow, and I want to show you guys the earnings strategy today. It's not going to work all the time, but you'll notice something specific. So I'm going to start with the play that I made this morning, but I actually took took a loss on this, and this is even what I was expecting if you were watching on stream. I said this one is going to be a day trade, and what I was trying to take advantage of was the implied volatility on the day of earnings. Now, it always depends with every company. If it already had a run-up, it is very, very hard. Facebook was kind of in the middle there, but even then, at the end of the day, it is earnings. This is a big risk. So what I wanted to do was I got these plays right here in the morning. I bought 10 of the 265s for next week, the puts. The stock was already down. There was the Facebook papers. There was a lot of negative news in the morning. So my idea was I'm going to flip these right until before earnings. Again, I've been talking about that 11 a.m., 12 p.m., that rush you see with IV. That's pretty much what I was trying to play. And you'll notice I got in at 50 cents, but even then the stock began to rip. This is a next week option, but throughout the whole day, it pretty much held the price. So I was able to sell out at 41 cents. I took a 9-cent per contract loss, $90, got to play that for the day. But at one point, Facebook was already up, I believe, like 1.5% before some of this move. Again, I shorted it within 2 minutes when the stock was down 1.5%, and it closed positive. So I would have normally got squashed on there, but what a lot of people noticed, especially coming towards close, you'll even see it, the premiums actually elevated and then they stayed high. Some people even got out at 47 cents. So the idea here is playing the day of earnings. You are better off playing the run-up as you guys have seen. So keep that in mind. But this was kind of fascinating for a lot of people who are following along today. And you're also getting to see kind of different strategies to approach an earnings. But that is something I would watch for. But as far as the first play now, I decided to go with Shopify. I made this play and I'm looking at it. And this is also going to be related to Facebook. I saw it as the double whammy for Facebook. So essentially, I wanted to play Facebook's earnings, but I didn't want to play the company. I wanted something that would still have earnings later. So even if it did make a move in reaction to the earnings, just how you saw Snapchat cause different reactions, the idea was it would still hold up the premium because people would still be anticipating earnings. So my logic was if Facebook does bad there and then it shows a slowdown with advertisers, you might see companies like Shopify get hit. And then on top of that, you have Shopify earnings on Thursday and then Google tomorrow on Tuesday. So depending on whatever trends emerge from there, I'm thinking that there would have been a sympathy move. And then on top of it, I still would have had the ability to either sell out before earnings or play the earnings play. But Shopify, I think it falls into that category as far as the play. This one was a little bit more expensive because I wanted to get time. But again, I pretty much had 3 different catalysts to play: Facebook earnings, after hours, Google, and then we're going to see how it holds up leading into the earnings on Thursday. And then depending on how the market plays out, but I grabbed an 11.10 put for December. Again, it's about 30% out of the money. This was still $820. So very high price there. I am going to look at some of the shorter terms right before their earnings, but I'm willing to take the risk here. I think it's going to move a lot. I was even considering a debit spread, but I think I got a little bit more flexibility leading into earnings, so we'll see how it plays out, and you guys get to watch along. You'll see where the earnings or pre-earnings run-up strategies play out, but that's the first one. The second play for tomorrow is going to be BKKT. This is a recent IPO. I don't have a play in this, but there was a lot of hype today, and people are even finding ways to even, I saw someone mention it related to Trump with crypto. It's a crypto play, and then the MasterCard stuff. So there's a lot going on, but even after that after hours move, I'm really expecting you to hear about this one tomorrow. So going to keep my eye on it. A lot of people even brought it up in the morning. So shout out to the Chads, baby, but keep your eye out for them. That one was very interesting. And then finally, I'm going to look at United Steel. I was actually really surprised to see some of our plays that were kind of in the gutter. They came up today. We had these old November calls and they're up 20%. So for even the shorter term ones to kind of pick up, I think this is a pretty big deal. Again, I kept this one small, but I'm really thinking that the infrastructure plays could come back here. And again, this is that run up off of the bottom that I was talking about with United Steel. We've been looking at it and we made that earlier play and then we were thinking about the average down, but it's kind of chilled out here. But then things started to pop off, and just in general, I would keep my eye out for any plays related to infrastructure. If there is a surprise or better than expected political news, I think infrastructure is going to go absolutely insane again, or it could reflect something that we saw at the beginning of the year. So those are going to be the main plays. As far as everything else, watch out for Facebook. There could be a post-earnings play or even like 2 or 3 days after. Again, I would just remember how Netflix played out. You got to see that. Coinbase, they're absolutely killing it. Surprisingly, even on my IPO shares, I'm now only down 8% on that play. And even on the long term, remember we added it there, that one's up 30. But the point is, not to flex, it's literally Coinbase is back up to some of these opening day levels. This is actually wild, and now it's going to get crazier if crypto keeps going nuts and then leading into the earnings. This is what I want to watch for, but a lot of people felt it today, and even the options premium, again, these are what we're talking about, pre-earnings run-up. They're going to report next week. If there's good earnings and the market picks it up, you watch a lot of these companies move. It's getting in beforehand here, but now you saw a big gain on these contracts we were holding. These are up now 137%, but 82% came in from today. So if you guys are watching the last couple of days, remember, we got very big run-ups on from the really beginning. We got this play October 18th. So that's like what, right here, like literally right before the big run-up. So most of the move actually even came today. There was something about the premium and kind of the exuberance, again, with things running up there. So keep your eye out for them. We're still going to be watching those. That's another pre-earnings run-up. Same thing even with NVIDIA. I'm going to be watching them, especially with AMD reporting. But remember, we also got that one as a pre-earnings run-up, but we were a little bit later on that one. But again, I showed you that one as well, the 250 one. This one has still got 30% of the gain here today. It's up 80% overall. So this one's slowing down, but I think especially after tomorrow, we should see a pretty epic move there. So watch out for NVIDIA. Again, AMD as well. They all hit all-time highs alongside Tesla and everything else. And then Shop, like we said, DWAC was up $100 in the morning and then came down today. One hedge fund did open a short position on it, so we'll see how it plays out. Again, it's kind of working into this higher price. Again, it's been a spec. There's been the hype, the halting, all of that, but still keeping my eyes on it. Still got our 10 shares there, so watch them. Watch X, ASON too. They're killing it. They're going to have earnings, but then I totally forgot about this play the other day, but I did make a covered call play on Asana. So here are the shares. Again, we bought these on IPO. We got 100 shares at 29 bucks. It's now worth 13,000. It's up a lot there, so we own them. We've been holding this stock, but now we decided to sell a covered call, so I shorted a 190 call, and what this means is I agreed to sell my 100 shares that I bought at $29. I agreed to sell them at 190. So somebody paid me $412, and they said that they would buy Asana from me for $190 by the end of the year here. So I said, that's cool. It's already at 13,000. I would pretty much make 19 grand off it. I said, I'm cool with that. Or if anything, if it does go crazy, we could always roll out of it. But I forgot about that one. But just in general, again, ASON's been one of these epic runners here, so I keep your eye on them. And then Southwest, we sold that one put that we were holding. I'd still watch them. There is going to be Hawaiian Airlines tomorrow after hours, but we made that put free. It was up 100%, so I'm going to be watching them, but I'd also watch them in line here with Boeing for earnings. This one might be pivotal here again, but usually the move on Boeing comes about 1 or 2 weeks afterwards. I'll show you the stats. Ask me about it on stream, but that one might be a good post-earnings run-up, so watch them. And then Ford, they have earnings. Kind of my favorite auto company here. They've already had an epic run-up, so we'll see. It actually might even sell off leading into it. It depends. I really think how the industry plays out. Then Merck, really liking this one. They're going to report even our play. The November ones got clapped, but we made an average down, and those ones are still up like 80%. Pretty surprised on that. I guess I was getting too excited. They're only up 40%. I thought it was 80, but still, they're doing pretty good. Again, we'll see how it plays out with earnings, but I did talk about this. There's end of November, they get the vote there for the MRK pill or the COVID pill, so I'm really playing it for that news. I think the earnings might have an effect, but I really think that's what people are going to look for, maybe even guidance on the pill in their earnings. So we'll see what happens with them, but watch out for Merck. I think that one's going to be a key one to watch. And then we said United Steel, and then finally Tesla. Just watch for the continuation and see how crazy this goes. Again, they've already had earnings. It'll probably vibe with the rest of the market, but then a lot of people are even talking gamma squeeze. The options are going crazy, but to good old TLT, again, the break-evens keep rising. I'd even watch out here with the dollar. Remember, this is still making moves in the meantime, and we may very well watch that happen, but if bonds still stay at this elevated level there, that is really going to kill it. But a lot of people are looking out for inflation. Like we said, this week, it's going to react here to earnings and all of that, but think about the 1-2 step leading to the basket. It's going to be one step this week, and then next week you get the Fed. That's really where we're going to see the final move. So I hope you're ready, and I hope you're patient, but that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you're healthy, ready to go. Make sure post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shine. I need you to remember what's really important, baby. But the code loves you. All of you. I'm going to see you in the morning. Let's go.